Sean, a few minutes ago prior to this call, is I will then, they're just going to help me where I can upload the photos and some of the video I have into, the Team Vanguard 15 drive. And then maybe we'll also just have to kind of continue an email dialogue with this debrief, because I don't think we are going to be able to watch any video. So the one thing, I asked a couple of boats to go upwind, and I believe this is John and Erica.
Mm-hmm.
If I pull in, yeah, that's John Schellenbach and Erica. And one of the things I wanted to show from this photo right away is, and hopefully as I zoom in, you can see is, I wish I had a way to draw on here. I'm sorry that I don't, but you can see that John's boom is directly above his tiller. All right. Awesome. And then if you could, with that circle, if you go out, do you see the clew height of the jib? And one thing that I'm looking for when I'm behind is awesome with the red circle. As we go vertical, as we move up the mast, all right? We have the red circle around the clew of the jib. We have the blue circle around the clew of the main. And what I was really happy about this is from behind, you can see, and it's really tough for you all when you're on the boat to ever get an eye on this, the leach profiles match. And when the leach profiles match, you know that the boat's going to be balanced. So if you go up from the blue circle, vertical, if you go up the leach from the red circle, vertical, you see that both leaches, and they're drawn some green lines, thank you, have a very, very similar look. Now, one advantage I do think John and Erica had here is I do think they had some of, the newer sails in the fleet, but they were going, I thought, very, very well upwind. And I thought their boat looked very, very good and balanced upwind as well. A couple other things I'd like to highlight here is when we were talking on Saturday, it's really important if you look at Erica hiked out, you look at John sitting a little bit more upright. Every knee, hip, shoulder angle is all 90 degrees for John. So he's nice and stable. With his left hand, he has the tiller extension pinned right there on top of his left knee, kind of left thigh, locked in, all right? Erica is out slightly further, head forward, so she's looking upwind with John. John's got clear vision the whole time. Really, really nice look here. The other thing I liked about this look is their heel angle, all right? So if you think about their heel angle, they obviously get the advantage of looking up in the air and saying, oh, there are my sails, there's my wing. But they hopefully were also thinking is that if I have a nice consistent heel angle, that means I still have very good attached flow over my centerboard and rudder underneath the water as well. Does anyone have any immediate questions there? Okay, I'm going to pull that out, and I then have to stop the share, and then I think share content, I have to go back in and select a different photo. And let me see. Nope, stop share. Okay. That was a quick little bit about upwind. Quick little thing about downwind here. This is a picture of Bridget and Jack. And one thing I did talk to a couple of people I want to highlight right here, right? They're grouped in the boat, nice and, all right, Bridget slid forward, Jack slid back. They're sitting up again, both looking behind, very, very stable. One thing when you're sailing downwind, wing on wing, is I want to continue on this theme right now of leech profiles. You want to make sure that the leech profile of your main there on the starboard side and the leech profile of the jib here on your port side are very, very similar. And the thought process I want people to have is, if you're the skipper crew and thinking, oh, I want to ease some vang, then Bridget should have the same thought with her left arm, that she's simply just going to lift her left arm towards the sky. Because that then is opening the leech of the jib as if you were easing the vang, opening the leech main. Where if Jack or Bridget are saying, I want to tighten the leech of my mainsail, I'm going to pull the vang on, and Bridget simply has to just take her left hand and lower it towards the deck. Yep.
That in order to carve down with the waves without the rudder?
Which you can do in the V15, because there again, if we talk about briefly Saturday, we talked about hull shape when we went up to Ed's afterwards, is because you have a flat hull. It looks very similar, say, to the bottom of a laser.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can use that to your advantage if you and your crew are in sync with it.
Okay. I think I might have a little FJ on the brain there. So, okay, but good. Appreciate it. That's a missing piece.
All right. I want to go back here to so you know what? Those aren't on my phone. Where are the photos that we were looking at on Saturday?
I thought they were all on your phone.
No, I didn't plug it. That's all right. That's all right.
We're
figuring this technology thing out. Hey, one thing, I guess I have this question, because we're unable to watch it in this format, but we're going to get better with this. Did anyone, I did get an opportunity to watch the video, the drone. Perfect. Sean.
So
let's talk about this for a little bit.
So right here we have, this is like just after a start, and everybody's going upwind. And I think if you watch a little bit of this, it's really interesting. At one point you'll see everybody's basically sailing like a totally different angle. So if you look at the 5 boats in the
go ahead and play it.
Yeah, it's the lag time, so you have to.
Okay.
And then we'll show.
All right, can you stop it right there?
Yeah.
Sean, can you stop it?
Yeah. Oh.
All right, right there. This is another thing I wanted to talk about, and I did get to see the video here. Is one of the things when we were coming in, I motored over real quick to talk to Bridget and Jack about their day. And this is a great thing. If anyone watched that little quick on the water interview we did, Bridget and Jack were talking about how it was a day to connect the dots. And this still picture right here where Sean stopped the video shows why that is yes, we have 5 boats sailing upwind, and you can make a small argument that all 5 boats are sailing a different angle. And that's because all 5 boats have a slight variance in the pressure. And if you look at these aerial shots, it's quite easy to see the different puffs as they come down and call those the dots. And what Bridget was referring to in her post-race interview was connecting the dots. And then if you heard, I even asked Bridget, would you and Jack say then ever make sure that when the puff came, you actually ease sails to make sure you were fast in the puff to try to get to the next dot or puff of wind? But why we see the variances in the 5 boats that are on port, and then even the 1 boat that's on the left side there on starboard sailing away, is they're all in different pressure.
Yeah.
One thing is, if it's tough to, it's it's tough to, and where you can see, team, that they're all in different pressure is, yeah, this green circle here, look, we got a crew to leeward. All right, we go directly to the have sitting in the boat. We go up the racetrack a little bit with this other green circle, and we have both people on the weather tank. If this boat is well advanced, and I'm sure is doing very, very well in this race that the little pencil's next to, and if that were me, and I'm thinking tactically and strategically now, is on inland lake sailing, you want to be conscious of where the fleet is behind you, but you have to be looking forward to say, what am I going to do with this good pressure that I'm in right now to get to the next good pressure, more so than fleet management. Because I will say this, I bet you, I can't remember all these races, I bet you that boat, if I zoom out a little bit, continued on port. Oh, can we go back to that picture, Sean?
Yep. Sorry.
Hey Dave, one thing on the easing the main in the puffs. So Jack and I were both switching off, so we both had a chance to look at the jib slot, and we noticed that compared to like a 420 or an FJ, the V15 jib leach is very open, so it doesn't hurt your slot at all to ease, even if you're in a lull. It really takes a lot to close that slot.
Correct. We looked at a picture before you jumped on, Bridget, of John Schellenbach and Erica going upwind, and talked about how to be very conscientious of the leach profiles of the main and the jib going upwind.
Gotcha.
And hopefully everyone understands what I was saying. If there's one thing we could do collectively as a fleet, is we should spend time. I would even make a small argument, I've thought about it since then, that we should put deck marks for where the foot of the jib position should be. Does that make sense? Like, Bridget, I'm sure you and Jack have done this before on your Club 420, right?
Oh yeah, it's very helpful.
You take a piece of tape on the deck, right? You say, never, like where you line the foot up on the pieces of tape on the deck, for this is where my most inboard is, maybe a middle one, and then an outboard one. I think that would be a very, very helpful tuning piece we should add to the fleet of boats.
I definitely agree. I was going between kind of the shear line of the deck, and then as far inboard as maybe 2 inches, but not all the way boned in, because it tends to feel like, like an in-haul in too hard. That's a good idea. Or maybe with a marker.
Yeah, the biggest thing is if any time this weekend, right, we never had, I'm going to call it firm pressure, where both the skipper and the crew were both engaged hiking out together. We had moments where they were, but it wasn't a condition where I would call that, bam, skipper and crew are engaged in the hiking straps right away as a dynamic unit. And knowing that we had a lot of crew movement in and out, a lot of skipper movement in and out, we should have been very, very active with our sheets, both jib sheet and main sheet, because we are two sail sailing. And the thought is, where I want to go with this is, if we go all the way back to that first picture I shared, and if you think about what Bridget was saying with the slot, if you ease the main sheet and you don't ease the jib, all right, you're closing your slot. The back wind or the exhaust that's coming off your jib is simply disrupting the flow on the outside of your mainsail. And you want those sails to work in unison. You want those sails to work in parallel. So if you ease the main, you should ease the jib a little bit. If you pull the main sheet on a little bit, you should pull the jib sheet on a little bit.
As a crew, also, if you kind of want to, if your skipper is really pinchy and you want to force them to put their bow down in a lull, just ease the jib, a hair, but enough so that they really can't sail that angle and have to put their bow down.
I'm going to tell you this. I've been thinking about it since then. When you get an opportunity to get away, I would think if we are all trying to achieve, say, a more uniform fleet of boat speed, that in the condition we had on Saturday specifically, the jib foot would have been just inside the deck by maybe like a centimeter. If you think about the Vanguard 15, as the hull comes up, the deck has that little weird angle before it then goes flat on the deck. If you put your jib foot right there, I'm going to say 8 times out of 10 in the conditions that we had on Saturday, that would have been a very, very fast setting. And then, yes, forcing the skipper to drive to that telltale would have been very, very fast in the conditions we had Saturday.
Awesome. Do you have another clip set?
Yeah, so on my screen now, we've got the top 2 boats going downwind. In here, you could definitely see, Dave, what you pointed out earlier, where, you know, the grouping in the center of the boat both have their weight super far forward.
Correct. You see both John and it. That looks like that's Bridget and Jack again. You see that they've gone all the way up to the centerboard, that they're located right over the centerboard in unison. My screen's jumping around a bit.
Yeah, it's.
I think that's Ray. I'm not sure though.
But that's very, very important.
Oh,
The other
yeah.
thing there, can we stop this picture? This is a good picture here. And hey, I'm not quite sure. Let's be a little careful, right? Because Erica and John sailed well. But do we see how their mains become unstable? And do we also see how Erica's lost control of the jib sheet? That's where I was saying with the first picture when we were looking at Bridget and Jack downwind. If you need to choke up and get closer to the physical sail, if Erica needs to take her left arm there, and if she is able to actually grab the clew of the jib, one, she removes the weight of the jib sheet hanging on the clew. And then if she, there again, to reiterate, if she wants to open the leech, she just lifts her arm up in the air. If she wants to close the leech, she just drops her arm closer to the surface of the water. And she could do that in that position if she wanted to. And that would be very, 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 very fast. Yeah, Erica, we know. It probably is when the wind shut off. But we're just talking about different things we can do to improve. You're definitely caught in an unfortunate spot. Has anyone had an opportunity to kind of think about themselves, their own pairings from the weekend? And does anyone have any questions?
So I wanted to say something about upwind jib trim and kind of see what your thoughts are on this. Basically, when I'm sailing upwind and looking at how far in to trim my jib, I watch the foot and basically have the crew bring it in until it's just about to create a horizontal fold along the bottom.
On the bottom of the foot, John, correct?
Correct.
Yes. I think that is a very, very good telltale mark. John, did you hear me?
Yes, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what I've always done. So good to know that that's going
And
right.
John, and I was trying to describe that, 2 minutes ago. I think that is when the hull comes up, like I said, the deck has that weird little angle, the kind of the deck hull joint before the deck goes flat. And I have to believe that's probably about 1 centimeter in from that edge.
Yeah, it partly depends on, your rake and condition.
For sure, it depends on a little bit of rake.
But yeah, that lip of the deck, if you're going to go by nothing else, is like your ballpark area. And then when you fine tune it, you bring it in till it starts to fold, almost like trimming a spinnaker where you want to start to curl, but you don't want it to quite fold.
And what I would do is if we're trying to have a more if we're trying to have a more like uniform speed look, is that's where I would sail the jib and then make the skipper, as Bridget mentioned earlier, drive to that jib setting would be very, very fast in these boats. Very fast in these boats.
Awesome. We have another clip ready to go. We have a mark rounding. You're gonna- okay.
Is it going right now, Megan?
Yeah, it's just really jumpy, so we're gonna see it in segments, it looks like.
Yeah, our internet died in the middle of this, so we're on a hot spot.
I think the internet in the United States of America has been weird today.
So it looks like to me, and Dave and everyone can see it, a lot of people are coming in really tight to the mark, and so they're coming out fairly wide rather than coming in a little wider and coming out a lot tighter. So that might be a good thing to think about and work on there. Otherwise, you hockey stop and then you stall and stop. So try to focus on maybe at like 5-6 boat lengths where you're heading coming into the mark. That way you can then, get a proper mark rounding.
One thing on that is that jives equal speed in Saturday's conditions. So if you can come in a little wider by just doing 2 extra jives, that'll help you.
Jibes equal speed, Bridget, if you do them correctly.
That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Speed, when you do them right, when you do them wrong, they're not.
Jibes do not equal speed, correct, if the skipper and crew don't roll correctly. But Bridget, good tip. I'm having a tough time on my. You there?
You're kind of breaking up a little bit. Can you say that again, please?
I said I'm having a tough time. I know I'm trying to use my phone because we were trying to look at those pictures. I'm having it. I can't.
Really?
Whatever's coming through on my phone, I can't make out.
Gotcha. If you want to switch back to your computer because we're done looking at pictures, you can do that so you can have a clearer view.
I think it's us more than anything.
Actually, I'm on my phone. I can see them. They're jumpy, but I can see them. It's just like a bunch of series of still shots painting the picture. That one's painting a picture of the committee boat. But
So
if
look,
you can go to the Sean, go back to the beginning of that and just watch, just watch that mark rounding first again. See if people can see it again.
Yeah, let me switch to a different one. Yeah.
Dave, one takeaway Jack and I had that we've kind of learned the hard way at venues like the Charles or St. Mary's is when you go from, a 8 to 10 knot puff to a lull or a shift, just wait a second and don't move your tiller. Ease your sails if you need to or trim them if you need to, but just wait like even 5 seconds and make sure whatever's happening is actually going to keep happening before you cost your boat speed to, move the tiller and turn down 30 degrees.
Yeah, Bridget, that's a really good point. Bridget, one of the things I reiterated on Saturday when we were up at Ed and Becky's barn was, that so many of us were taught sailing, ease, hike, trim, right? The puff comes, you ease the sails, you hike against it, and you trim. One of the things I think in the art of reducing rudder movement is when the puff comes, it's ease, hike, and then I think there needs to be a strong reminder of go straight. and then trim back in. And yes, I like your train of thought. The same thing can be said when the lull comes. If the lull comes, remember, when the lull comes, you need to decelerate because now there's less pressure. So if you allow your boat to go straight and decelerate in the lull and just say, adjust your boat speed to what is now the new wind strength, that's a very, very powerful tool. And that's what Bridget was speaking to, is as the lull comes, once you get out of the puff, take that long pause breath. Maybe give yourself a slow count to 2 or 3. Allow the boat to decelerate and just take that energy forward up the race course.
Yeah, and you also basically, she's saying if you're going slow, don't put the brake on. You know, everything's straight, no brakes, going straight, and then hopefully the next puff comes, and if you have to steer after that, then you steer after you have flow again.
So one thing I'm going to do is, I know we are going to get better with this technology to do this stuff, but I've got some notes, some additional notes that I took after driving on Saturday. And I also, Megan was great. She gave me a little tutorial, I think, how to upload the still photos. So I will take some time here before the weekend. I'll get them in either tomorrow or Friday. And then if you all want to go back into the drive again before heading to Culver again on Saturday, there'll be some still photos in there with some notes. And I will even see if I can find a way. I have some great, a quick little 21-second video of Bridget and Jack sailing upwind that I do want to get in and post it so that you all can see it. And I'll write a little kind of 1-paragraph commentary for it, because it's just a great show of what Bridget and Jack were doing as a team to make the boat go fast upwind.
Yeah, Dave, I like that. And if maybe or you can just shoot me some notes, some video. But one of my thoughts is we're gonna put a GoPro forward, and then I'll be behind like you were in video, so we can watch the crew work as well as the skipper of footwork and things like that, so we can see what the good teams are doing both in upwind and downwind with tacks and jives.
Yeah, and then
Also,
the other thing I would do, go ahead.
Just along with the video, so the tracking on the phone, it turns out that I only recorded like 13 seconds of sailing, so Schroff was the only one recording any data. And we found with the GPX files, it's just the phones don't really record enough. So we have a bunch of instruments, some Velocitex, Race Geeks, Nova Sails, that are going to be on some of the boats, basically just as black box like recorders, and they record a ton of data. So that's what we're going to need to be able to really do the video overlays and analytics. So you guys, everybody who sailed last week will have some sort of instrument on their boat, so we'll be able to get some really quality data to look at next week.
Okay.
I have a Vacaros I can bring with.
Yeah. So yeah, Schroff, if you bring your Vacaros, yeah, we've got a whole bunch of stuff. So
Beauty, nice man.
All right, so I will take some time to get this uploaded in the drive. I will get with Megan tomorrow to make sure that all happens and is the correct spot so that you all can go view it.
Cool. And Dave, you and I can hop on a Zoom call if you need help putting it in to the drive. I can kind of walk you through it if you'd like.
Yeah, just like trying to figure out how to do
Megan,
social distance regatta. We're trying to figure out how to do, virtual stuff. So bear with us.
I know, and I think that, I think this would be really good. And I know that this is a learning process for all of us, but I think this for 2020, I think this is really cool. I mean, talk about a story that, you all that are still on this call could tell out of the community of Chicago and Culver, Indiana's, how you actually got together. I mean, look at that amendment you put together already, Megan. I read it, right? How you're going to now, you've got the port and starboard groups and you're doing the right things. And right? If we can all have some patience with these growing pains and learn how to use these virtual classrooms and these virtual debriefs, and all of us should be stoked to try to help Andy as much as possible so that your session on Tuesday is really beneficial. So I think all of us, if we have ideas, shared concepts on what we want to do, would be excellent. And I will tell you all this, I know 100% I do need to get better with it. I mean, just before we all got here, I tried to plug my phone into my computer with Megan and Sean, and like nothing happened. So I know that I also have to do a better job learning the tools. It's been very easy for me to walk into the classroom at Belmont and boom, my phone was up on the television screen. It was like something out of Disney World, right? Magic. I'm like, I don't even know what I did, but it just was there. And now I got to adapt that isn't the case.
What it's worth, in all the go-to meetings I've done in consulting, it happens like this all the time. So you're doing good.
Oh, thanks. But look, I do got to run here, all because I got to get on another call in a few minutes, actually at the top of the hour, and I got to do a couple things. But thank you all very much. Good luck Saturday. I will get with Megan tomorrow, and we will get some more stuff posted. And I look forward to hearing how Saturday goes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. If everyone wants to stay on and we can all stay, chat, have a drink together, we're more than welcome to do that. Awesome. Thank you everyone for coming. You can turn on your cameras if you want. Say hi.
Hello, Megan.
I was so sharing that video. I had to like really be careful and filter out not showing any of our maneuvers because some of them are real ugly. It's like, all right, let's fast forward to like right after we're out of frame, and now let's take a look at what's going on.
I like